Good morning. We'll call the Wednesday morning, July 13th meeting of the Criminal Justice Committee to order. Start with roll call, please.
Mr. Hess?
Present.
Mr. Long?
Present.
Mr. Lear?
Present.
Mr. Snipes? Ms. Peters? Ms. Parker? Mr. Fairfield?
Present.
Mr. Carrico? Mr. Eckhoff? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Kirkstra? Mr. Hunter?
Present.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Gowler? Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Seroy? We have a quorum.
Okay, I have not received anything from public comment. Is there any public comment at this time? Any public comment going on? Should have received the minutes of June 15th, 2022. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Hunter, second by Mr. Carrico. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Up next, Chief Judge Cunnington. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Morning. Well, I have 4 items that I just want to bring the committee up to date on. The first one is the courthouse renovation in the basement. That's moving along. It hasn't gone out to bid yet. We have a final meeting with the architect next Thursday to go over the final plans. So that's moving along. Second, the technology grant that we received from the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts in Springfield to upgrade all nine of our courtrooms that is proceeding as well. We're waiting on equipment. We do have the money in pocket for that grant, and that will be proceeding the installation of all the new equipment as soon as the equipment comes in. We keep in contact with our vendor, and there are supply chain issues with that all over the state for that kind of equipment. The Safety Act, or the Cashless Bail Act, is on everybody's mind. All the chief judges in the state of Illinois meet regularly and discuss this issue. We have a meeting Friday in Chicago. That will be the topic. We're working around this statute that we have that is really not clear as to all of the points that we need to consider, the logistics and the issues. So we're trying to develop a game plan, and not all the circuits are going to be the same. I think some of the circuits might interpret the law a little differently than other circuits, and we may have to wait for the appellate court to say, no, that's not the right interpretation of that vague law. We interpret it this way, and then we have to change. So we'll do the best interpretation we can with the legal minds that are there and the advice that we're given. So that's proceeding. We hope there'll be some trailer bills in November to clean up some of the issues, but right now that's where it stands. Oh, I've also asked Circuit Judge Bill Dickinson to chair our local committee of stakeholders that are getting together with the sheriff and the state's attorney and the clerk, and so that we're all kind of on board on what our procedures are going to be. The fourth issue then is the RFP for the case management system that is now on the county website. The deadline is August 25th for submission of the proposals from the various vendors. I know Anita's here. She's our contact person and has done a lot of work on this, so we appreciate that, Anita. I don't know if you've received any proposals yet or questions, but we're only expecting maybe 3 or 4 that might come in. There aren't that many players in that game, so. Those were the 4 things I wanted to mention. And then I do have an introduction to make. Last Wednesday, Justice Robert Carter from the Illinois Supreme Court was at our courthouse, and he had the privilege and the honor of swearing in our newest circuit judge. Adrian Albrecht, our circuit judge, retired last Tuesday, and on Wednesday we stole from the state's attorney's office.
Again.
Again. their loss is our gain. Marlo Jones, and Marlo is here. He's our newest circuit judge. I'd like to introduce him. Marlo is a veteran, the Air Force. He's also the former chief of the criminal division of the state's attorney's office, and his term ends in December of 2024, I believe. And so there'll be an election then to fill that spot permanently. And it is a circuit judge position. It's not an associate position. So he'll have to run for election, and we wish him the best, and we welcome him aboard.
You bet. You have comments, Marla?
Yeah, you can.
Right.
Right here.
There you go.
Well, I just want to say good morning. I'm excited to. I've been working with Kankakee County since December of 16 in my role as a former prosecutor. And I'm looking forward to this new role of still serving the people of Kankakee County. And if there's anything I can do, please let me know if I can be of assistance in any way.
Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I want to make a comment. I had the opportunity to attend the swearing-in ceremonies of Judge Marlo Jones, and I almost brought to tears in terms of the pomp, circumstance, and the ambiance and the environment at that hallowed room 300. It was amazing. You mentioned that Justice Carter was there. Appellate Court Justice Mary Kay O'Brien had words as well too. And I walked up to our Chief Judge Tom Cunnington. I said, "Tom, I don't know where you got those words from." I thought about putting a collar on around his neck because he did a magnanimous job. And you look at the diversity of the people, the attendees there. Everybody was upbeat. People came from miles around to witness Marlo swearing in, and it was just an amazing particular event. When all the judges walked in, that was really something to behold. And you look at the diversity. There were comments about the composition of the judiciary there, amazing. But guys, next time we have a vacancy, you got to attend that particular ceremony. It'll really move you, and I'm really pleased, Chief, that looking at the diversity there, I said, my God, look like the United Nations, and I really appreciate what you guys have been able to do. Marlo, God bless you.
Thank
we
you,
look
sir.
forward to working with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Up next be Mr. Snipes.
I was about to say they on their way down, but I don't know if I know Marlo Jones, but he looks like an intelligent, temperament young man ready for work. No, but I attended it again. It was well attended. I applaud the whole entire ceremony. I remember when Justice Drew came in, the Attorney General came down, not the Attorney General, excuse me, the Illinois Supreme Court judge came in to install, and then again for the first African-American circuit judge, because Faulkner was with Will County, and Justice Drew was with the 21st. So she was the first woman to be installed African-American or whatever. So we're making great strides, and we have Asian that's on the court. I say, so Kankakee is headed in a right direction with the diversity, but I applaud Marlo Jones, or now Justice Marlo Jones, in his endeavors.
Thank you. In your package, you have a copy of Ms. Cianci's monthly report. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Lear, second by Ms. Parker. Comments on your report, Sandy?
Good morning. No, I don't really have any. Collections are still plugging along, so we had more this last month with the Harris & Harrison local debt recovery program than we did last month, but I don't really have anything today. It's going to be quick.
Any questions for Sandy on the report? We have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Well, the other thing, excuse me, like Judge Cunnington said, we're working with the Safety Act and all the plans that we have coming up. I'm meeting with some of my key people today to start talking about how our office will operate when we move to the weekends and the holidays and open court and all that. So I will know more later on in the year. We'll have to open up our union contract and kind of get those things settled as well. So we have a little bit of work to do, but other than that.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Chairman. Sandy, I brought this matter up before, and I don't know where you are with it, but what about cross-training?
Well, the people that will be working at that part will be cross-trained.
Okay. Do you have a specific go-to person who will coordinate that?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
We're going to determine all that today.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next, State's Attorney, Mr. Rowe. You received a copy of the State's Attorney's report and the grand jury statistic report. Take a motion to approve that. Mr. Long, second by Mr. Snipes. Comments on your report, Jim?
You can see we're up to 356 indictments have gone through grand jury this year. 20 at the last one. We have 50 scheduled for tomorrow. So we're just trying to get through them. We've had a lot of cases coming in lately for review and charging. You can see in there 90, there's about 90, 91 that would really fall into a domestic category if you add up some of the lines. And with that, you're looking at violations, order protection, obviously the felony domestic stalking. That still remains, kind of leads the pack for felony offenses. And, we've kind of seen that play out in the worst of ways over the last couple days. Kankakee County has a violence problem. It's not necessarily a gun violence problem, it is a broader violence problem. People in the community, whether it's with knives or guns or running people over with cars, it seems to be accepted, it seems to be celebrated at times. I see people post videos of fights that happen at local gas stations on Facebook, and I see grown-ass adults get on there and comment to fuel those fights. To celebrate it, for lack of a better word. And I think it's repulsive. I can't believe that we live in a community where this level of violence is not only occurring, but where it just seems to be accepted. We really need the community to step up. We need parents to step up. We had a shooting occur in the city of Kankakee where at least 2 children were shot, and at a party. And you're gonna tell me nobody at that party saw anything? And if they did see something, why aren't you coming forward? And do you want to be the one who stays quiet, and then the next thing you know, maybe it's your child that gets shot next time? We need the community to step forward. Law enforcement, I see what they're doing every day. They are busting their ass. They're working as hard as they can, and sometimes when everyone is short-staffed, it's hard to play catch-up and go backwards to work on cases when you have 3 more coming down the chute every day. But I see their passion for it. I see how hard they work to solve these cases. Where we run into dead ends is when the community and witnesses do not come forward and cooperate. And this idea of this no snitch code, that's bullshit. You have to come forward. It's not snitching when you're telling what you saw. It's simply being a responsible citizen and a resident who cares about their neighbors. This idea that we can't protect them. We have resources in our office. We have resources with local law enforcement to protect people who come forward. Everything from relocation expenses. We have moved people across this country to protect them when they come forward. So those resources do exist. So the idea that there is no protection for someone that comes forward, that's a falsehood as well. Finally, I would just say, when we look at those types of violence and we talk about domestic violence, that incident that occurred in Bourbonnais, what a drastic outcome. What a horrible outcome. And my prayers go out to the family, to the men's family. I can't imagine what they're going through right now. And those are cases, as far as the cases that were in court, domestic incidents that occurred in that household that need to be looked at not only by individual agencies, but our domestic violence task force that the county played a role in helping us form just a couple months ago. We meet weekly, and I'm sure that this is going to be a case that is talked about in that task force meeting. There are, all across this country, how many times do you see where a police officer responds to the scene of a domestic and is ultimately ambushed or becomes the victim in that incident? Those are some of the most highest risk incidents that police can respond to. And they're oftentimes toxic because neither party really want, as much as they want the police there because they've called the police, they really don't want the police there because of that domestic nature of that relationship. When I look back over the case history involving specifically these individuals, we see cases from 2013 where when the victim became uncooperative, the case was dismissed. 2014, uncooperative, case is dismissed. That is not an anomaly for them. That is the cycle of domestic violence. You know, they say it's 7 or 8 times a victim leaves before they stay gone out of that household. Ruth had filed for divorce, and then months later it was dismissed because the court notes that they reconciled. That is the cycle of domestic violence. It's not something out of the ordinary. When we look at the cases that were pending in the court system, time and time again, we would have cases set for trial, but when you have an uncooperative victim or an uncooperative survivor, it's almost impossible to go forward with that case. We don't dismiss those cases. We allow survivors to come in and ask us to dismiss them and you know, tell us their reasons why, but that does not result in a dismissal because we're fighting not only for that survivor, but for everybody in the county because we all have a vested interest in making sure domestic abusers are held accountable. So I can tell you in these cases, at least 3 or 4 times we were asked to dismiss the charges. We were asked to lift the order of protection, and we don't do that, and we didn't do that. And thankfully the court didn't do that either. Unfortunately, you know, it's not always enough to have a piece of paper that says stay away. And that's when it requires other people in the community, neighbors, family, friends, to come forward. You can't see something like that happen and say, well, that's not my business, that's not my marriage, those are my friends, I don't want to get in the middle of it. You have an obligation. If you know of domestic violence in a household, if you see it happening, you know, please do everything you can do to call the police and take some steps to help it stop. So I apologize for going on about that, but that's weighing heavily on the minds of everyone in my office today, our victim witness advocates, all of our prosecutors who are involved in these cases. That is the exact thing that we all aim to prevent, and we're not able to prevent it every time. No one is. But when it does happen, we have to look at it and figure out, you know, what in the hell happened here. So.
Before I acknowledge you, Mr. Hunter, is it a question about the reports?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
The comments that he made.
Well, okay, we have a motion and a second on the reports. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mr. Hunter, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Jim, I appreciate your candor. Those things needed to be said. I was wondering, you indicated that we have a violence problem in Kankakee County. Do we, or have we, or will we do any kind of clinical assessment of the perpetrators who commit these heinous crimes in terms of their backgrounds, education, psychosis, if any, at all? Do you have the manpower to do that, or could you work with Jackie Haas and Helen Wheeler or Dwayne Dean or somebody to do profiles on these folks?
Yeah, we'll offer those at the pre-sentencing stage before we send them to prison. They do a pre-sentence investigation, and they can evaluate that and extract all that information and data and where they went to school and, you know, how many times dad spanked them. We can get all that information in the PSI. But we have to get to that stage. We have to identify them first, get them into custody, prosecute them, get them convicted.
Thank you.
Mr. Snipes.
Mr. Snipes.
We say Reverend Rowe, but today I'll say Jim. I see your passion. In the last week, I had the opportunity. I was staying at a couple of motels that was here in town because of this raccoon issue and stuff that they're doing at my house. and something jumped out in the same place at the Carford Inn. It was nice and peaceful, but they was arguing through the halls, the whole 9 yards. So I told them, call the police. They said that they were told not to really, let it out, but these people kept going, disturbing the whole room. So I told them, tell them that I said call the police and tell them. And I gave them who I was, and when I got there, the Bradley officer showed up, and I said, I hope you're not here by yourself. You're gonna probably need somebody else with all that cussing. So anyway, the individual, we finally got them removed. They were kind of blazing or whatever, but it was told to them, if you leave or you just get arrested. And I see in situations that people I don't say they don't know what to do, but they don't know. They don't want to put themselves in a position where they are. And then the second one was at the railroad. Again, the person was okay, but some guy showed up and he decided that he was going to hit. And so I come out the room and I told him, I said, sir, if you hit her, I'm going to be the person to testify that you hit her. And I guarantee you, they'll be picking you up in about 2 seconds if you don't leave. Again, that happened. The individual left, but I agree with you, the community, maybe if you are afraid individually, come together collectively and be ready to call or wherever for the backup. And I think that we can flip or turn this thing around if the community, if you don't want to get involved, because I agree with you, it's not snitching, it's reporting. And I would that they do report, because if we don't, nothing happens. Some time ago, they say, let's vote the blue out. That's not the dumbest idea you can take, because who are you going to call? Ghostbusters? The thing is, we have to turn around and come together as a community. State's attorney, police, I don't care how many law enforcement, I don't care how tight your criminal justice system, if that element of the people are not in the equation, it's very difficult, because you don't know. Back in the day when I was working with the auxiliary, riding with the police and going into a domestic situation, they teach you. You don't know how that's going to, it looks so peaceful and it can turn deadly in just a second. So I agree with you, but and wholeheartedly say that the people do have to get involved. And if you don't want to, go to some of your elected officials and let them work with you. Some people do that, and that's successful. So there's some other options out there, but we do have to get a handle on this, because today might not be your family, but tomorrow it might, or not tomorrow, later the same day, it could be.
Imagine how much different the county would look if in a community, if the community came together and said, we're not going to tolerate this type of violence in our neighborhood. If when someone had a gun, if when someone shot a gun, when someone committed a domestic battery, if the community came forward, pointed that finger, told law enforcement who did it, were cooperative with them, and got that individual either sometimes incarcerated and sometimes treatment. Right? Imagine how different the county would look if communities rejected violence as a whole, instead of waiting for everybody else to do it. We'd probably have a lot more kids still alive.
Agreed.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Up next, Mr. Pennewick, Public Defender. In your package, have a copy of Ed's report. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Hunter, second by Mr. Fairfield.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've got nothing to add, so if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions on the reports? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And I've nothing to add beyond that, so unless there's a question, I'll take my leave.
Questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Next is Mr. Latham from Probation. In your package, you have a copy of the Probation monthly report. Take a motion to approve. Mr. Long, second by Mr. Lear. Tom?
Good morning. Just to the report itself, as you can see, we had just under 3,000 contacts last month, and 20 individuals on some form of electronic monitoring, 344 drug tests collected, and only 2 juveniles at River Valley, which has remained low for a while now, that number.
That's good. Questions on the report for Mr. Latham? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Just real quick, related to River Valley, I think that number, like I said, is low. It's been staying low for a while now, the average daily population, which that's been down as we ended our agreement with the detention center several years ago. That spend down ends this year, but I think we really see how cost effective that decision, or how positive that decision to get out of that was. Obviously we'd have two people in custody right now, and we'd be paying a lot for those two individuals, those two beds, under our old agreement. So now as we go pay per juvenile, I think it's really gonna, it's gonna be very beneficial to the county as far as the cost. So also just the monthly update on pretrial. We're still putting plans together to deal with January 1st with our vacancies, with our we have a couple ideas from group reporting to other ideas that we're putting together right now to handle that. Also related, not specific to my department, but Chairman Wheeler has been asked to be on the pretrial practices implementation task force that they formed. They have about 6 subcommittees on that task force, and Chairman Wheeler's been put on the education subcommittee. So I think it's gonna be very helpful that we have someone local that's in the loop, that's getting the information as we go forward. I don't know how long this is gonna take and how long that task force is gonna, I don't know their timetable. Their timetable keeps moving, so I don't know. That they're gonna be meeting bi-weekly, a couple times a month, so I think, we'll have a lot of information come in, hopefully. I just wait and see. And lastly, it's not until September 1st, but drug court graduation. It's gonna be a bigger one. There's gonna be 6 graduates, plus they're inviting some graduates from the past back to be part of the ceremony, so it's gonna be a bigger deal. So I'll get that information out to Kelly to get out to everybody. So, but that's all I have.
Any questions for Tom? Any luck on your openings?
We're still at 3. You gain 1, you lose 1 kind of thing. But we're at 3. We have 1 in the pretrial, 1 in adult, we call it line staff, and then 1 in our juvenile division. So, but they were interviewing yesterday, so we're trying to get filled. But it's just like, again, I keep saying, not a lot of applicants coming in. So it's.
Mr. Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any interns, Tom?
Yes, we just had 1 finish last week. And we usually stagger, we usually have no more than 2 at a time.
Thank you.
So.
Okay, thank you, sir. Up next, Sheriff's Department, Mr. Gessner, Mr. Chad Gessner. In your package, you have a copy of the monthly sheriff's report. I'll take a motion to approve. Mr. Long, Mr. Fairfield with a second.
All right. Good morning. Sheriff's out of town today, so I am the substitute, and it'll be short and sweet. He didn't have a lot to pass on, so. Looking at the report, I just looked at the numbers today. We're at 217 local, so it's a little bit different what's on the report. Our total inmates are at 522. Out of county are plus 18, but that's pretty much on the correction side. I do want to follow up a little bit from Sheriff Downey reported in the last criminal justice meeting that the overtime budget, part of that was our manpower. Just to give everybody a heads up, we have good news, Tom. We hired 3, so we have 3 full-time that we did hire, and we have 4 conditional offers of employment that were sent out yesterday. So hopefully that's 7. We were down 12, so only down 5, so that's good. It's real good. We continue to actively recruit to get that number up from those 5 left, but we're making good strides.
Is there any laterals coming in there?
I think we had one that was looking to come over. I think Chad was speaking with him and getting that, but that's important. Our correction staff has been working a lot of overtime, and I know that's good on the paycheck, but it's summertime and families, that's tough. 16-hour days are tough. So we definitely applaud our correctional officers for the hard work that they're doing to maintain. So if you get a chance and you see them, thank them. It's a tough job those guys, ladies and gentlemen, do. There's no doubt. And we appreciate them, and we will continue to work hard to get them the manpower they need to do their day-to-day operations. Moving on to sworn.
Hang on.
Sorry.
I got one question on here for the domestic battery.
The sworn, yep.
You know, that we're up 11 from last year. So going on with what Mr. Rowe said, that's, you know, it's getting to be out of hand.
It is out of hand. I think, as State's Attorney Rowe said, we formed this task force for a reason. So, you know, when we see a problem, we react, and that's how we're reacting with this task force. We're working with the State's Attorney's Office on these cases. I guess I can really leave it at that. We're aware of the issue. That's why we formed the task force, and that's why we're meeting to come up and work with the social service agencies and in the jail, you know, the programs that are in the jail to help out with those who are arrested for domestic battery, so we can try to lower those numbers. So that's definitely we're working hard at.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that number just jumped
Well,
up.
and of course, what happened this week is definitely it's on the minds of everybody. So, but like Jim said, it'll be the topic of conversation at the task force meeting. I guarantee that will be what will be discussed.
Go ahead.
Other than that, I don't. Another issue that we've also been taking a look at is our traffic accidents. A lot of distracted driving out there. A lot of accidents involving distracted driving, DUIs. So the sheriff has wanted to focus on that. We have an officer now assigned to a traffic enforcement unit to go out there and start to try to lower those numbers and lower those stats. So again, we're identifying the problems through the statistics we get every month, and we're trying to lower the numbers. So we're aggressively taking a proactive approach to get these numbers down. That's about all I have.
Yeah, any questions for Mr. Gessner on the reports? Mr. Hunter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Chad, last criminal justice meeting, Sheriff Downey indicated and reported that Champaign County, with its construction renovation of the jail, received another $1 million infusion of dollars that will impact and extend the time that we'll receive those inmates from Champaign, which helps us with the loss of the ICE detainees, et cetera, et cetera. Any other report on that at all?
No, but I can tell you that the Champaign numbers are going up. As of this morning, we are at 139. So those numbers are going up.
That's great.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? More? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Animal control?
Whew. So animal control, yesterday at the meeting, at your meeting, you approved the land and building, correct? I believe that's what
Correct.
I talked to Carrie about. So that's progress. However, I did contact the chairman last night. We had a problem with a water pipe, and animal control, precision piping's over there right now trying to find the problem. They've been in the walls. It sounds like the problem may be under the concrete of the dog kennels. So, well, it's something that we have to address because we won't be looking for spring, I think. So just to give the committee, and I gave the chairman a heads up yesterday that this is going on. There's nothing we can do. It's So we'll know more hopefully today. Trying to find the source of where it's coming from. But and then obviously adoption. When I talk to Carrie, it's every week the adoptions. So they are full. This construction is going to set them back a little bit, but they'll make adjustments. But it's an old building, it's tough, and we're just throwing another curve last night.
Questions or comments on that?
I know.
What kind of other good news do you have for us?
Hey, we're hiring people. That's good. We're getting people in.
Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Up next, Coroner's Office. Mr. Cavender, in your package you have a copy of the monthly report and the monthly receipts of money. Take a motion to combine and approve them. Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Hunter. Comments on the report?
Good morning, everyone. Coroner's out of town, so like Chad on the substitute today. Just a couple quick comments on it. You'll see that our calls were just down slightly in June. However, autopsies were up. And in fact, we've had more autopsies in June than we have any other month during this year. And year-to-date, call-wise, I was just looking in the back room, we're up 25 calls year-to-date from where we were last year at this point. And that's with a significant downturn in COVID deaths. So that just tells you the other types of calls that we're getting: car accidents, homicides, overdoses, all those other suicides, things that we deal with. As I told you last month, by this month we'd be reporting 24 overdoses, and that's indeed true. There is one additional overdose case at this time that's pending. And just to touch on the violence in the community a little bit, obviously we can't attach a price tag to any one individual's life. But every time one of those events occurs, there's a cost to that. And we're starting to see a significant cost in our office for each one of these cases that we have to investigate. And just to give an example, the triple homicide in the city of Kankakee a few weeks ago cost us thus far just under $7,000 in autopsies, tox, transport, and personnel. And that doesn't count all the other entities that incur cost. State's attorneys, sheriff, state police, anybody else. So again, you cannot put a price tag on one person's life, but there is a significant cost to what's going on in our community. And unfortunately, it probably is going to get worse before it gets better. So it's something that we're watching, and that's had an impact on our budget. We've already spent 75% of our entire year's autopsy budget with 4 months to go. So something that we're continuing to monitor, and hopefully the trend breaks, but there's no sign of that occurring. That's all I have.
Questions? You have we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Declaring
Surplus,
equipment?
Yeah. We're just requesting to declare surplus 2 old original folding storage tables that we utilize. For the resolution, Kelly, can you just add the asset tag numbers? They're 2935 and 2300.
Mr. Long with a motion to approve, second by Mr. Lear. Questions on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What else?
That's all. Hopefully we'll have better news to report in August. Otherwise, thank you, everyone.
Any old business to come before the committee? Any old business? Any new business? Any new business? Motion to adjourn, Mr. Snipes. Oh, the new business?
Just want to inquire as to, I think we still have them, but I don't know for sure. But I think it would be a good, if we haven't, I think it would be a great opportunity for community involvement for those individuals that are recruited for the auxiliary police department. I think in this day and time, that would be both for the city and for the county or any police department that give those extra eyes to the volunteer officers who have to go through training, but yet can be utilized in various capacities, which would alleviate some of the what I consider to be the decrease in the eyes of enforcement in areas where a presence is needed, but not actually mandated. You know, we have the parks, we have this, and they ride with officers and the whole 9 yards. But I still think that that's a good, viable program to, if we have it, if we don't have it, to get it back into play. Anyone?
Chad?
I want to say probably around 10 years plus, they eliminated the auxiliary police because of liability reasons. Some lawsuits, some case filings on that, basically eliminated that from as a resource for the police department, so they're no longer in use.
Wow.
Any other new business? Take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Long, second by Mr. Hunter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.